The Experience Pros Radio Show, home of the original Fan Braggin' Fridays. Take just 20 seconds to become a business revolutionary by sharing a fan bragging story of great customer service by using the hashtag FanBrag or calling the Fan Braggin' Hotline at 855-FAN-BRAG, FANBRAG. Now back to Angel and Eric, the Experience Pros.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Experience Pros Radio Show with Angel and Eric. Sitting in for Angel, who is out speaking in Las Vegas right now, is our good friend Eric Huntsberger. Eric, thank you for being here.
You bet. So glad to be here.
Absolutely. And we use a phrase you've probably heard around the water cooler: work-life balance. Often used, rarely put into practice. And studies have shown that America is overworked, stressed out, and a long way from achieving that ideal harmony between family time and career. Sociologists, psychologists, and corporate culture experts continue to analyze work-life balance while workers continue to seek it. But for many, it might as well be the holy grail, according to our next guest. Sue Hawks is a best-selling author, a keynote speaker, a certified EOS implementer, and a certified business coach, among many other talents. And she is with us today to talk a little bit about work-life balance. And she says balance is bullpucky. Sue, welcome to the Experience Pros Radio Show.
Well, thanks for having me.
It's very nice having you. Now, Sue, in any other day, I would probably agree with you, but because Angel's not here, I'm going to jump both sides of the fence and ask some questions. Is it really that work-life balance is bull? Or is it we just haven't figured it out yet?
I think it's bull.
All right.
It's completely bull.
All right, so back it up. Give us a little thing. Why? Why do you think that it's not reasonable to have a balanced work-life environment?
I think it's more about how we integrate work and life, because our lives are no longer, we don't have an outside life separate from work anymore. I think with smart devices and whatnot, everything is commingled pretty well. And it's, I think, a pipe dream to think that we're going to have some magic mix, because our lives change and morph as we take on more and different facets of our life take light, that we have to recalibrate consistently is what I would say. So I don't think there's this resting place called balance.
Okay. Maybe the concept of a resting place is the myth. Maybe this is work-life balance, because, we're getting through it, aren't we, Sue? We're doing it all. We do have our smart devices. We do have, text and Instagram and all those other things for connecting with other people. Maybe this is the new balance. No?
I still would say what most people perceive as balance is more about some, Zen state, or where you really feel internally centered and grounded, as well as externally managing your time well. And I think we confuse those two things, and most people deal with the external part, not the internal part. So I don't know too many people that talk about how balanced they feel, or, how aligned their life is with what's most important. I hear people more rushing, and especially this time of year, complaining about how are we going to get it all in, and it's usually with a crowbar.
Well, Sue, this is Eric Huntsberger, and boy, your topic, your books, they just intrigue me. Is this true, since you're such a real professional on this? Is balance kind of when work and play and life kind of mesh together? Is extreme balance when you have created a life and income that kind of is possible for all those things?
Yeah, I usually use the phrase alignment, because I think it's more aligned with, again, that here's the mix that works for me at this time in life. And I'm learning really well how to say yes and no to things, so that, it aligns with whatever that mix of ingredients is that has me be at my best and not feel overtaxed or stressed.
Our guest is Sue Hawks, and she is the author of the book called Chasing Perfection: Shatter the Illusion minimize self-doubt, and maximize success. And you say there's never going to be a 50-50 balance, but maybe you can still fit in the important things. How do we learn to then say no to certain things? First of all, how do we identify those things that aren't most important? And second of all, how do we say no to them without the guilt that follows every single time?
Well, I think those are two different things. So I think on the first one, there's all kinds of time management exercises. And within the book, there's all kinds of actionable practices, and one of which is called Delegate and Elevate. And it's actually authored by Gino Wickman, who is genius, I think, in where you take stock of your life and you place all the things you're doing in one of four categories: what you love and are great at, what you like and are good at, what you don't like but happen to be good at, and what you don't like and are not good at. And you think about all the things you're doing and put them in one of those four categories on paper. And the idea is to start to delegate whatever's below the line, to elevate and spend more of your time in what you like and love and are good or great at. And it sounds so simple. It really works.
I'm certain that it would work, and I like the framework. I listened for a category that I didn't hear. The things that I hate, but I happen to be great at.
Don't do those. I think that's don't like and happen to be good at.
All right. Okay. Good enough. So then this requires then a retraining of our minds, right? Because I think if we don't do something physically different, then the outcomes will be physically the same. So
exactly.
What do you recommend for our listeners to do that would help them retrain their minds? And maybe I tend to be one of those people who overreact to almost everything. So does the old proverb or adage of counting to 10, does that still work?
I don't think it's a bad one, but you asked a great question earlier, which was, how do you eliminate the guilt? Which is, I think guilt is there not only because a lot of religion teaches it, but it's also something that creeps in because we're misaligned with what's most important to us. For example, if you're spending too much time at work or out too much and you're not in enough with your family and whatnot, you start to have this guilty feeling like I should be home. And whenever that kind of verbiage comes up, I think that's when you have to, again, recalibrate. And it's a consistent pattern of, wait a second, what's the internal caretaking I need to do, not just the time management part, because we can always get more in. And that's the problem.
Go ahead, Eric.
Sue, this is Eric Huntsberger. Do you think it's necessary to, when I hear this is so great, do you think it's necessary to kind of bring your team with you on this, where you talk to your family and maybe your spouse and your kids and you show them what time management is going to look like, or what this life of is going to look like that you're talking about?
I absolutely think anytime you can communicate with those who are closest to you, that's critical, good stuff. So yes, and the counting to 10, I would tell you, putting a pause in before you say yes or no to one more commitment is possibly the healthiest thing you can do. And whether that's a count of 10 or a day later, for some of us, being able to take stock of all you're committed to. Typically when we say yes to something, it's not one yes, it's actually 10 yeses. And where do you get that time from? What we end up doing is sacrificing our own self-care, some of the fun things, some of the things that bring the most joy to us.
That's probably the takeaway sentence of the whole interview. When we say yes to one thing, we end up saying yes to 10. And how to put that pause in. I mean, I either need a frontal lobotomy or a bottle in front of me, because something, I react, right? So I'm in that situation where I gotta step back and breathe. And I think that part of this is just in the doing, right? Right, Sue? Mm-hmm. Just practicing and getting used to it. So let me do this. We're talking to Sue Hawk. She's the author of Chasing Perfection: Shatter the Illusion, Minimize Self-Doubt, and Maximize Success. Sue, where do you want our listeners to, A, get a copy of your book, and B, stay connected with you?
Well, our website is chasingperfection.net, and Amazon is the easiest place to get and have a book delivered in time for the holidays.
All right. Chasingperfection.net. And go to Amazon for the book called Chasing Perfection. Sue Hawks, it's such a joy having you on the program. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it a ton.
Absolutely. Chasing Perfection, folks. Go check it out, chasingperfection.net. And more positive business talk with Eric Huntsberger and Eric Raymer. That's E to the power of 2, or just call it E squared. We heard from Huey Lewis earlier. It is hip to be squared. We'll be back right after these messages.
America's home for positive business talk. You're listening to